I see in our country, there just about 2 weeks ago, there was this huge scandal. One spiritual leader, he got arrested for raping two
Yeah,
girls.
I
And
saw that, believe it or not.
yeah, no, I totally believe it. It was on BBC and all the major network news and on Al Jazeera news network as well. And, after watching all this, I just feel like no one is well equipped, at least in my country, to come up with something to counter them. Like, they believe in a religious leader after a religious leader,
Right.
another religious leader, one goes down, another comes up. Those millions of people who follow that person now follow that person. It's like they're completely blind
Right. And just to, I want
to.
to, Avi, I want to give some context here because not everybody might have seen that article, but you can tell me if I got it wrong. But what I saw, the reason that it made so much news was that not only was he a religious leader that sexually assaulted his followers, but he also, after he was convicted, the rest of his followers got very angry, and there was a huge number of them. So they were very, very
Yeah,
angry that he was convicted for
yeah,
sexual
these
assault because he was a
these
religious
people.
leader.
And that's what's so saddening about it. That's what I just don't understand. Like what would make them see? Like, these people, they got together, killed more than 30 people, injured more than 250. It's just heartbreaking
Yeah.
to not be able to see the reason within
Yeah.
the realm of humanity. Like,
Yeah.
even
They
if you argue, like,
they had formed a
this
mob. They
person,
had formed a mob that went out and actually got angry. And they weren't, according to the article,
yes,
this is not the first time this has happened in support of religious leaders who have been convicted of crimes.
this is not.
Right.
And that is what I was just getting to. Like, is there any way to hash this out with these people? Like, in our country, even touching a cow is a religious crime. We don't have enough traffic police for our traffic, but we have enough for patrolling the cows because they're religious.
Okay. Well, I mean, I empathize because I understand what you're saying. I mean, I get frustrated with how do we address religious or I guess non-skeptical views, people that are willing to put these beliefs before human well-being. We even have that here, although I understand what you're saying about the difference in scope, the difference in intensity of what we saw happening in India. I mean, it definitely was a whole other level than what we get in the United States, or from what I normally would see. I certainly wouldn't call it a normal thing for a huge mob of people to show up at a religious leader's conviction and then riot as a result of the fact that they were arrested for raping people. So I hear you, but I don't have an answer. I mean, I don't know.
Just speak out against it as much as you can. Just raise people's consciousness, challenge.
Yeah, there was this one guy in our country who just spoke against a religious leader. I think it happened 2 months ago. He's a very famous whiner. Who makes wine videos. I didn't
Not that
want
he
to
just complains
come out
about
like
stuff.
that.
Right, yeah, no. I
Yes,
gotcha.
yes. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
That came out wrong. And he posted something about a religious deity, and got shut down because they came up to his house and assaulted him. And this is what happens in this country. And I will be truly honest with you. I've grown up in Canada, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And my family is still in India. And when I came back to India, the first biggest struggle for me was to get through to my parents because we were not on the same page at any time. And I didn't know how to handle that because I grew up outside their region of influence, and I kind of dropped all the nonsense religious stuff. And
You know,
they were
I do want to,
shocked.
here's something I want to say, Abby. We get this call, like I said, we get this call from people who are in religious homes, even here in the States. The idea of how do I deal with, you know, the religious differences in my family is a plague of epidemic
No, I
proportions.
totally get that.
You can, I'm going to send you to the blog and let you go there and just kind of ask for feedback. We have definitely done shows where we've answered this before about how to address religion with family, which I know was your primary question. But the fact is it's a difficult thing to navigate with anyone. And it may be one of those things where you find the areas of agreement before you consider disagreements. You know, like, for example, I'm sure that, well, I'm not sure, but perhaps your family would be open to a discussion on how being violently in support of a rapist religious leader is not a good idea, even if a person believes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, they're not in support of those religious leaders, but still, at the bottom of that pit, there's still those same deities.
Yes.
There's still those same dancing earthquake maniac
I
deities
understand.
who are just trying
Somebody is, they're giving, the studio's giving me the kind of thumbs up to say, let me recommend Kumare, right? Now, have you seen the film Kumare?
No, I
Okay,
haven't.
Kumare is about an American-born person who hails from India who creates a cult, and it's a documentary. It's not it's not a fiction, and so he runs into some issues. I think the only relevance I can think to how it relates to this conversation is just how simply a person can create a following. Like, it's very easy to create a following, and he does create quite a following based on starting out with a publicist and one disciple that he hires, right, to be his disciple, and the other one is publicizing him, and her job is to book him to come and talk, and eventually it just grows into a life of its own, something that he starts as an experiment. And I'm not going to give spoilers, but it is a good film. I don't know that it actually demonstrates devotees who would go out and commit crimes for him. They were certainly devoted to him, but I'm not sure that they reached quite that level, that if he raped some of the adherents, they would, you know, support him.
I just can't support the idea of absolute devotion. It's just
It's dangerous,
foreign to me.
and it's dangerous in
It's-
very obvious ways when you see the things that happened in India just like a week ago.
The idea
Yeah.
of absolutes is just like, no, you cannot do that.
Right.
Just think for yourself and imagine what would it be like if you were put in the same situation.
Well, I
These days I've just
definitely,
stopped.
I definitely, you know, we're in big agreement on this, and I think that John is right, that you just have to go out and talk as much as you can about these things as well as you can. I would, because of the level and, you know, the depth of some of this stuff in your situation, even though you're saying your family may not be quite to that level, if you want to talk to them about these things, the human factor of that's really horrible that people were killed over this, you know, might be a good line of discussion in order to talk about, maybe not talking about atheism versus their beliefs, but to talk more along the lines of what happens when beliefs are brought to this level of harm, of gross harm.
Yeah, that could be a good approach to it.
And just see, that would at least it would open a dialogue, it would give you a feeling for their leanings, and it could potentially make an opening later where you could talk about deeper things.
Yeah.
I'm
These days, my
talking all
friends-
the time, John. You know you can jump in.
Yeah.
You don't. I don't have to
John,
invite
like, do
you.
you have an input?
You're the co-host. Say things.
Yeah.
People are going to attack me after the show, and they're
No,
going to be
they
like, "You didn't
won't.
let John talk."
I always say they let me talk as much as I talk.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're right.
Oh, you're right. Why don't you just twist it like while you?
I might kind of sound like John being an anti-atheist because I actually kind of tried to be one. Because whenever people come up to me with their God claims, I just ask, like, can your God create a boulder that he cannot
So
lift?
big he can't lift it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
And then, and
It's
obviously,
like it's a nice opening line to everything because it puts them in a dilemma. Like, okay.
hi, I'm
wait
Tracy.
for a
Can
second.
God create a rock so big he can't lift it? Yeah, that's how I start every conversation.
No,
Oh.
it's anyone who just starts to come up to me and, your friend tells me that you don't believe in God, and it's like, okay, let's
Yeah.
do this again.
At least it starts you out. Is your God bound by logic, or is your God truly, even got the goods even over
Yeah.
logic? Yeah, I don't know. Tune in
Right,
next
well,
week for answers to these and other exciting questions, lines of thought
I tune
around
in.
simulated universes and whatnot. Okay.
I tune in every week, and I would probably have some input for next week as well.
All right. Well, thank you for your views, and thank you for
so
the
much, Tracy. Thanks.
Yeah,
thank you,
thank you.
John, for
Thank you.
listening to me.
Thank
you,
you
Alvin.
to the crew